Wow, that was incredible. I want to welcome our four members of the team here. I'm going to call the team. And I'll do some intros in just a minute, but I just have to say that was incredible. And I've heard Michael talking about this film. We've met over the years for quite some time, so I was so excited to see it tonight. And I have to say, I actually played collegiate tennis and had a chance to go to my reunion recently and get teamed up with the current team in my Division III tennis at my school. And wow, I could barely handle a day of practice for them. So, and it's not even a contact sport. So hats off to you. This is an incredible story that I was so excited to see this evening. So I want to start by introducing everyone. And I have to say, Rod, we haven't had a chance to meet. I'm Sarah Fusakis. I'm the Associate Dean of the School of Dramatic Arts. And
Yes,
so
you're very
grateful
famous.
for all of you. Oh, wow. For all of you to being here this evening. Rod, I'll start with you and just a little brief bio because I know we all want to get to the Q&A. But I know you're a graduate of West Point, and you started as an investigative reporter in the entertainment industry, authoring the book 1995, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then establishing yourself as a writer, director. And I hear that your upcoming project is Lucky Strike, is that right?
Yep.
With Scott Eastwood and Colin Hanks. So thank you so much for being here. Of course, Michael Chiklis, known for so long, a Boston University graduate. I was gonna say. We know him for so many incredible roles. I know.
Hold
We
on.
let him in this room. Yeah, just hopefully press it. Is that going up?
Oh,
That button
the
up?
what?
There you go.
Okay.
Hey, two of my children went to USC, so fight on. I only have two children. They both went here.
He has a long bio here, but I think most of us cannot forget your performance in The Shield, which of course he won an Emmy Award for, and of course the commish. Do I always say that right? Always okay.
The commish,
Which
as in police commissioner. They
Exactly.
call them that affectionately.
Fantastic Four, so many other incredible roles that you played over your. And then I also want to introduce Mark Ciardi, who's here. And we're actually talking tonight about baseball. He's a former MLB pitcher. You're with the Milwaukee, right? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. University of Maryland, and then he's the founder and president of Select Films, an independent content production film, and founded Mayhem Pictures, which had an overall deal with Disney for 12 years, during which time he produced several acclaimed sports films, so perfect for this, of course, including The Rookie, Invincible, and many, many others, The Way Back, and the list goes on. So welcome, Mark. Thank you so much. And Bob, who I got a chance to speak with before. Eisele, do I say that right?
Eisele's right.
Okay. You're a local, Bob. That's so cool. I didn't know you were born in Altadena. Yeah, and UCLA, and that's okay. We welcome you in this room. And I know that you began writing plays in college, which is really cool. And went on to teach both playwriting and acting. He went on to write for TV, as well as penning the feature The Great Debaters with Denzel Washington, and co-starring with our alum, Forrest Whitaker, School of Dramatic Arts alum, with whom he reunited for the sports film Hurricane Season, about a New Orleans high school basketball team in the wake of the Hurricane Katrina. So, oh my gosh, such incredible legends here with us this evening. And I'm just going to start with Mark because I read a little bit about how this film came to life, and I know it's been quite a journey, and I know it happened with you reading an article about Mike Flynt and then meeting him, correct? And then here we are, 18 years later?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, it started in 2007.
Can we say that again? 18 years later. Go ahead.
Incredible dedication.
All the freshmen here were just born. But I came across an article in 2007 in the LA Times about Mike Flynt's story, and I was stunned. I just finished the movie Invincible, about a 35-year-old guy, and now I'm reading about a 59-year-old guy. And I was like, I got to top that story. So I ended up reaching out to the school, got in touch with actually one of Mike's friends, Randy, and told him I wanted to come and see a game, and ended up going to that final game that you saw there, and met his former team, the current team, and just embedded myself, ended up getting the rights, and took a long way to get here, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of close calls, and perseverance, man. This guy wrote the script about, 14 years ago? And
Here you
it
are.
took a while. Got Rod on board and Michael Chiklis, and here we are, all these years later.
Incredible. Congratulations. And speaking of the writing, Bob, I wanted to hear a little bit from you about the process, writing from such a real story, and just, obviously you have incredible experience, but how did you bring this character to life? Tell us about that journey.
Well, I spent about probably 2 days, probably 24 hours, I had up all the hours talking to Mike, and we had so much in common. You know, we actually played against the same junior college football team the same year in 1966, me in Pasadena and him in Texas. That team beat the crap out of both of us, by the way. So we had something in common that was kind of unique, who'd expect that. But there was so much that I dealt with, being a working class white boy like him, but except I didn't have a father that was abusive. And so it's there but for the grace of God kind of thing, right? So we really made this connection. He was a kind, wonderful guy. He is a kind, wonderful guy. And he was already a good dad, I want to say that. But we had to get a story about in the present that reflected his past abuse that he had to overcome. He'd already done that. But so we took a little liberty with his life. He was kind enough to allow us to do that. And so the script was written. And a lot of people wanted to do it, but it kept bouncing around. I think Mark can speak more to that than I
Many,
can.
many places, close calls.
Yeah.
I'm glad they all didn't go through.
Yes.
Well, I would have been too young 18 years ago to play this part.
That's right.
Waiting for you.
For all of you who are film students, and you're thinking about being directors or producers, I really want you to take that in. But it's remarkable what that kind of perseverance. You hear stories all the time. Oh, my movie took 5 years to make. It took 7 years to make. 18 years. And that takes an incredible intestinal fortitude. And just belief in what you know about a story and that it'll work. I say this all the time to people. A lot of times it's not about rejection, it's about selection. And it's a big, tough business out there and a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of no's. You just are. And you just have to bounce. If you took every no personally, you're just not going to last in it. You aren't.
It's good that we got a lot of those no's, because then we ended up with you and with Rod Lurie directing. This is one hell of a director.
Ends up being the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Rod, I wanted to turn to you. You have this incredible lineage of producing films in sports, and so how did you approach this particular film? How did you all get matched together, and can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Well, it is. Well, it's really about these two guys, right? In the end, I normally write my own movies, well, almost all of them, but in this particular case, I get Eisele's screenplay, which is a beautiful thing, and I loved it, and I really thought it was an amazing piece of work. It told an amazing story, and I'm a football nut. I love football. Yeah, like him. And in fact,
My dog's name is Tom Brady.
that's
Really?
All in.
Yeah. And I don't call him Tom and I don't call him Brady. I call him Tom Brady. It's so obnoxious, I know, and I love it.
I make movies about presidents usually, and my dog's name is POTUS. So it's really the same thing. But I receive it, but then I find out, but I wasn't sure I wanted to make it, because it wasn't mine. It didn't come from me internally. But then I did a Zoom with Mark, and Mark had produced, I think it's safe to say that Mark is the greatest producer of sports film in the history of cinema.
Well, you didn't say miracle.
Miracle, The Rookie, Invincible, Secretariat, You know, it's pretty amazing. So I knew I was in good hands. I'd never done a sports film before. I'd never done anything remotely close to a family film. Anybody that knows my work at all, and by the box office, I think that's none of you, but I've made really serious movies and war films and political films. But I was just really drawn to this, and I knew that this guy would guide me properly, that I was in very good hands, that he wouldn't let me fuck it up. And and um, and then our casting director, Sharon Bialy, came up with the idea of Michael Chiklis. And I said, yeah, it's a great idea. There's a physical resemblance for starters, but we don't need that necessarily. Most films, they don't have the physical resemblance. And then, do you remember our first Zoom together? I was wearing a Patriots hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he
Love at
said,
first sight.
yeah, he said we're gonna get along great. And and the only thing that kept me from really making sure that you didn't get fully banged up in this film was that you're a Patriots fan. I mean, if you were like a fan of the
I
Jets
got
or
pretty
something,
banged up, man. I'm sorry, my eyebrows hurt.
if you were a Jets fan, it would be much, much worse.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't have found anyone better than Michael Chiklis to play this role, so congratulations, Michael, for your outstanding performance. Like, embrace this multifaceted character from emotion to masculinity to so many other things. And so I wanted to hear, we've talked a little bit about it when we met recently, but I want to hear about what preparation went into that character for you. I mean, obviously you got to meet Mike, but sort of tell us how you truly embodied this character, obviously physically and emotionally and so much more.
Well, first of all, I apologize for my voice. I've been speaking for 10 hours straight. I just did a junket. So from 7:30 this morning till now, I've not stopped talking. So I'm kind of tired of the sound of my own voice. But having said that, well, you know, it was two-tiered. As an actor, as a director, we're always searching for great material. That's number one, the script, right? And you know, when this script landed on my desk, I read it and I just was over the moon about it because it's just such a great story. It really is. It's just something you never heard of before. You know, a 59-year-old man, you know. But, you know, though this is a football movie, you know, and that's the backdrop for this movie, it really is much more than that. It's a redemption tale, and it's a familial tale. It's about second chances, and that really hit me. I don't know about all of you, but I don't know if you've led perfect lives, but, you know, that I tapped into right away. The notion that, you know, we all have things we look back at and we face palm and wish we could have a second take at it, you know, wish we could go back. And so that really appealed to me. And then, you know, I was just coming off of playing Red Auerbach in the Winning Time show, so I'm playing a guy in my 70s, out of shape. I'm like, holy shit, I gotta get in shape for this. And I'm 59. I was 59 when I made this movie, you know, which is the same age that Mike was. So things don't work the same when you're 59. They just don't. So I was working out a lot, and I think my terror was that I was gonna get hurt, you know? But I mean, to stop production, I wasn't so worried about myself as much as like, you know, if something snaps, if I rip a hamstring or something, the production goes down. It's not like they just go, all right, you're in, you know, and the next guy goes in. You know, I'm the lead of the movie. And did we shoot a lot of the football right up front?
All of it, right up.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit. You know, so I was, I actually know Tom Brady. He's a friend of mine, so sorry, that's not name dropping, it's just true. And I texted him, I said, Tom, you're no longer the oldest guy in the field, help me. And I'll use the salty language that he used. He said, football's fucking hard, good luck. That's all he said. I was like, really? That's it? He goes, football's fucking hard, good luck. A second time.
Yeah,
It's
but,
like,
but
great.
on top of that, you know, football. Any football players here?
No,
When-
school center.
Alright.
It's a cool stuff.
You can invite them to their
You're a
practice.
football
They
player?
can't. Baseball.
You played in high school, okay. So you know that you practice 2 or 3 hours a day. Sometimes you have 2 a day, you practice 5 hours.
Right.
I'm filming 3 hours, say? 3. Well,
That's
you're a
crazy.
tough guy,
Damn.
I gotta say. I'll tell you though, I had these guys there for 12 hours.
Damn.
And we're filming and we're doing, and I just so enjoyed saying, let's do take 9. And just watching him get hit over and over and over again. The players too. So he is, like, at the end of the day,
Here's Rod's favorite line. Perfect, let's go again.
you can always be more, you can always be more perfect. Always.
Ah,
I mean, he was always better in the next take. Always.
Because I kept on thinking, I gotta get this, so we'll move on. In any case, preparing for it, a lot of it was right there. If it's on the page, it makes your life infinitely easier. And I have to say for Bob, it was just a really wonderful. I think the thing I was most daunted by were 2 things. First of all, the fact that after I met Mike, and the first day we were shooting, 2 hours went by and Mike and Eileen were still there. And I was like, are they gonna stay here? Because I'm playing the guy and he's right there. And they were like, yep. And he was there every day, every single take. Now, I was daunted by that, but then he was so unobtrusive and he was such a lovely guy that it was fine. And it ended up being a great thing, actually, because he ended up being a wellspring for me. He ended up being a resource. I'd end up going over to him and saying, hey, Mike, how do you feel about this? And he ended up being a great resource for me. So he was more blown away by the process because he didn't know anything about making movies. And he was like, y'all work really hard, don't you? I'm like, yeah, Mike, we work really hard, us Hollywood people. So there was that. But the other thing I was most daunted by as an actor was the halftime speech. Because it's the ultimate trope, right? I mean, it's the cliche, and I'm like, oh man, but.
Can I jump in for
Go
1
ahead.
second and say that the halftime speech was his, okay? He rewrote that part and he did it beautifully. And he's obviously the real thing. He's a writer-director, and there's a whole lot of Bob Eisele in this script, okay? This is my script. But there's I'll speak out about some other moments too.
You don't have to do that.
Well, I mean,
you.
it's a beautifully written monologue, so I wasn't worried about that. It was on the page, but in your infinite wisdom, you did another thing, was you scheduled it like one of the last days of the shoot. And that was really right, because at that point, we had already been through this odyssey together. And conversely, he did something really bright in terms of the scheduling. We did the rubber band man scene almost day 1.
Yeah.
And that we were a team after that scene. See, there's certain things you can't force chemistry, but you can encourage it, and you can do things that foster it. And I tried to do that a lot as a sort of team leader in this film. I always try to do that whenever I'm on a film or a television show. I try to foster a feeling of, making everybody feel valued and included, and like we're all pulling the oars together. And when those guys could mock me like that, and I was just just giving myself up to them, and we had a lot of laughs that day, it gave them permission, right? And then we were a team. It was a great bonding experience, so that by the time we got to the monologue in the locker room, I could deliver that speech, and I didn't have to force it.
This is great. I wanted to ask a little bit more about that, just about the process before we open up for questions. Like, how long was the filming? You said you talked about sequencing with football first, and maybe Mark.
Yeah,
Speak to that.
I mean, this movie was about a third of the price of a typical movie that I would do at Disney. So it was an independent film. We didn't have, what did we have, 35 days, 38 days?
No, less than that.
Less, 32, 33. I mean, we shot this in warp speed. this guy did a great job. We had to really kind of map out how we shot, less prep, all that to execute a movie like this. But starting with the football, going from big to small is always usually the path we want to take, and the path we've usually taken, on all the sports films I've done. And this one, we were lucky enough because our sports coordinator wasn't there the first time around. It was kind of his backups, and we got a second chance of shooting additional football, which was really lucky. We got to see what we needed
Right.
and go back and shoot it a little more properly, a little more scope, a little more command with
A little more time.
yeah, and more
Yeah.
time, and it was great. So
You
yeah,
never
all
get
that
that
stuff adds
second
up.
bite at the end.
You know, this is what I'm talking about, though, guys. Let me ask you a question. How many people here are film students? Okay, how many of you want to be directors and writers? Okay, quite a few.
Right.
This is the value of a great producer. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, guys. When I talk about why I felt I was in good hands. I would have scheduled the football for the end for exactly the reason that he's talking about. But he was wise, and he said, no, we gotta do it in the beginning. And in fact, we did actually a couple of days of I got us ahead of schedule, so we were able to schedule another football day at the end. We knew what we needed. That was wise. But we got screwed in other ways.
Always.
Our sports coordinator didn't want to get vaccinated, and so that means that he couldn't come, and so we had his backups. We didn't have the expert. This guy is like the best in the world at this stuff. He did the Oliver Stone film, any given Sunday,
Any Given Sunday.
for example.
13 with him.
But then one of the players tested positive for COVID, and there was no more. We had to lose 4 or 5 days of rehearsal,
Oh, yeah.
and everybody had to quarantine, including him.
Put that out of my head.
Right, and
Yeah,
it
I
turned
Forgot
out,
about that.
yeah,
Because I just went, no.
and it was a false positive in the end.
Yeah,
So we lost all of this time.
yeah.
So it's a real challenge, and so there is, a director definitely has to have some generalship, but you need to have somebody with this experience and
Yeah,
wisdom.
the risk we took too, which reminds me, is like if he gets hurt, and goes down in the beginning, that was the risk we took. You get through the football and you get smaller, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah,
You got hurt at 4 in the morning on the reshoots of the last day, right?
right.
You pulled.
No, the last shot, well, the second to last shot. The second to last shot, I finished the play and I was pulling up. I was done sprinting. And because it was like 100 degrees in the shade, it was nighttime, it was so hot and humid, I cramped. And I pulled, all of a sudden, beep, my right calf blew up. And I had one shot left to do, and it's the big block. So, I mean, it's the close-up of the big block. So, they were freaking out, and actually, I think it was me that came up with the idea for that close-ups, because you guys put me on a dolly
Yeah.
in a close-up.
And I fake ran
Really
while they
bad.
pushed me because
Yeah.
we were in here.
Go tight.
And then it cuts to the wide with the hit and everything.
So, but it works.
Yeah, I think it was your idea.
It was.
Yeah.
I remember.
Creativity and.
Because I was freaking out. I was like, fuck, I did it. I got all the way to here. And then now, really? I have one shot left. Oh, I
Money
was
shot.
freaking out.
Persistence really is the theme of your
Totally.
Every bit of this.
I know.
It's filmmaking, man. And, Rod and I, man, we had such a wonderful time. If I can speak for you, I know I did. I had such a wonderful time with you. And our sensibilities are so similar in terms of the cinema we came up loving. And we talked a lot about that.
A lot.
And
Sidney Lumet,
Lumet.
our favorite director.
Yeah, so it's just so many of the filmmakers that we love, we share. And it also gave me it relaxed me because I was like, okay, his sensibilities are really similar to mine. So I can make the choices that I've made as an actor, and I don't think he's gonna freak out. I always come from a place of the real and authenticity, and so he was right there with me.
before we open it up for questions, because it's really about you all asking questions, but Bob, I just wanted to ask you one final question about the writing process, just very simply, like, when did you write the script? How long did it take, and who did you engage in that process?
Well, this man convinced me to write it on spec, because we'd gone around and pitched it, and I had a pretty good reputation, we couldn't sell it. And this guy, of course, is the best sports movie producer on earth. We couldn't sell for whatever reason, we came very close, right? We came very close
Yeah,
every time.
many times.
So he said, Bob, you've done the research, you've done all this, write the goddamn thing. And I had my kids in, private high schools and trying to make a living, and I said, I gotta get gigs, I can't take 6 months, whatever it's gonna take. Script doesn't take 6 months, but getting a really polished script takes, probably 4 to 5, and that's what I did, and I bounced it off of him and let Mike read it, and he complained about some stuff, Michael Flynt, because he didn't, I had kind of, because I got so close to him and his wife, and especially because I had taken advantage of his relationship with Micah, who he really loves, and Micah said, Bob, you do anything you want with me. You put a dress on me out there, I'm okay. And so but Mike was very, wanting to protect his kids and his wife. So I pulled back a little bit on his relationship with his wife, which was, when Rod came in, he did some work there. I could have done it too, Rod, but no, I'm teasing. This guy's great.
But I will say, listen, having a script, you have it forever. I mean, if you have a good script, doesn't matter how long, it's currency. And I always knew you pull it out and the timing was right, and then finally it all lined up and you have it.
But this speaks to how tricky it is to do a biopicture. When you're doing something about living people, that's very sensitive. And, I know all of us felt very passionately that we wanted to represent them to the best of our ability, because, like it or not, it's part of their legacy. You never want the person that you play to look at you despondent, like, what did you do? So that was a bit of a nightmare, worry, but I felt infinitely confident because of these men.
We also knew that, when you're writing a sports movie, you have inspirational sports drama. It's kind of archetypical. We didn't, break the mold on that. But if you do it with truth, it has a certain unpredictability to it. If the people, you're believing in them, what are they going to do next? It takes away that it doesn't have to be a brand new original plot.
It's a portrait, it's not a photograph, it's a portrait. So.
Can I ask a question of the young lady who's signing? Hi, can I ask you a question? You sign everything? Like, if I were to curse, would you sign that as well? If I said the word fuck, would you?
Rod, what are you doing?
I just wondered.
Of course she's signing that. I mean, you didn't think there was a sign for fuck? Good Lord.
Just curious.
We digress.
I've always wondered.
We definitely digress.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that seems like we're gonna turn it to the audience now. Don't swear.
Try to curse in the.
Yeah, no cursing. But yeah, I'd like to open up to the audience, but I would just back to the authenticity. You guys nailed it. You can see that in every part of the film with, an autobiography like this. It was incredible. But questions from the audience about any aspect of the film? Yes. Oh, have a mic. Okay, super.
First, I want to say Rudy was my favorite football movie, but now the senior is definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm 63. I'm only about 5'9", 155. Same as in high school, but you did such a great job. I mean, all those scenes in the pit drills and the other drills brought back all my memories of 45 years ago. So I really thank you for that as a gift.
Thank you.
The question I have is, like I said, I'm 63. I work out every day. I try to follow these guys on podcasts like Dr. Peter Attia for longevity and trying to, stay in shape and live as long as I can live a good life. Did Michael Flynt ever tell you what his secret was? I mean, I've never seen anything.
Yeah, a couple of them. And now I'm unfortunately in much better shape now than I was in the movie because I've continued with it. And I'll never go back. I'll never gain weight for a role again. They can put a suit on me or CGI it. I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm too old. It's not helpful. I'm not doing it. So I'm sticking with the healthy side of it. The biggest thing was movement. You have to keep moving. But he was a big believer in sprinting because of the fast twitch muscle fiber. That because if you can sprint, your muscles are strong enough and elastic enough. So pliability, flexibility, and weightlifting. He believed in weightlifting. It doesn't have to be heavy lifting, especially as you get older. But you have to do resistance training to break down muscle fiber. So not running long distance, because that hurts your joints. But sprinting, like doing 40-yard dashes, running, doing sprints. And, you know, I mean, it sounds like a lot. It's crazy, right? He's like,
No way.
You know. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Mike believed in interval training, you know, like,
Intervals,
like
yeah.
sprint, short distance, sprint.
Pushing your body weight
short
around.
distance, yeah.
And motion. Once you're done with an hour workout, then you should walk 10,000 steps a day. You gotta move. Constant motion. You know, being sedentary is like the new smoking. It's like, you know, and right now, all these links, we can get into this whole health and fitness thing, but it's true, everything's linked to inflammation. The food we eat, the water we drink, you know, and things that inflame our body, and we want to avoid that, so that's
And when you get to be a real old fart like me, you gotta get down on the ground, every day you get down on the ground, just to get up. You know, just-
Oh, really?
Seriously.
All right. Any questions?
I'm right next to him, so I was just going.
Go ahead.
I'm so lucky, this is my husband, he's in great shape, so, yay.
Nice.
But I'm 59, and I commend you, Michael, because you did some amazing things.
Thank
At
you.
my age, I just take no risk, I just walk now, because I've had a hip replacement, I can't run anymore, but I just walk, but it's amazing what you did. And I just want to thank each of you there on stage, because this movie brought tears to my eyes,
Good.
because it was very impactful, and I wanted you to know that.
Oh, sweetheart.
And with each of you, if any of you were missing, this wouldn't be the film that it was. So I thank you, each and every one of you. But since you have all used salty language, I am going to.
Go ahead.
You know, I'm 59, and all of you youngsters probably haven't experienced what we have as adults, but the world is fucked up, and there are a lot of fucked up people that are mean to you,
Yeah.
and that are awful, and people have trauma, and, you know, they're fucked up too. But this movie is, like you said, so much more than football. And it just, I think, is good for so many people. Uplifting and giving hope, you know, that despite all the fucked upness, there is good.
Yeah, there is.
And
No,
we
I-
can learn
No,
so
right.
much from this movie.
Right, I hear you, bro. Amen. Listen.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's, you know, we need movies that are uplifting, that are inspiring, and that aren't just making you walk away from the theater feeling like
And you
everything's
don't need
dismal.
sex, and you don't need violence, you know, to make it, this is better than any of those sex
Hey,
and
listen, as a
violence.
guy, you're so right. Listen, as a guy, you know, let me just take over here, okay? Couple of things, because I hear you loud and clear, okay? First of all, you know, I did one of the most hardcore shows in the world, The Shield, right? I mean, that's some hard shit, right? But a friend of mine, Vince Gilligan, recently won an award at the Writers Guild, and he said, I'm gonna paraphrase now, I don't want to misquote him, but I know what he meant, and he was saying, listen, I'm very proud of the work I did on Breaking Bad. He said, you know, I love the accolades and all of that, but given everything that's happening in the world, I think we need to write a few more heroes. Because the world needs to see good men and women doing good things.
Right.
And I think that that's true. I think we delved into the anti-hero and the villain and their side of it for quite long enough. And now we need to spend a little time fawning over the better aspects of our nature, to go with what you're saying. One of the things I love the most about this film, if I may go on, is that Mike doesn't become the champion, and he doesn't, the guy makes a couple of blocks. Think about it, it's all that. And really, substantively, what he does is at the end of the last game, he makes a couple of blocks. There's a humility in it, it's humble. But it isn't about that. It's about all the other stuff. It's about him redeeming himself and him being a mentor to these boys. That's what I loved about it. It wasn't full of shit. It was real. It was grounded. And I just loved the humility and the humble nature of the story.
Thank you again for making this come to life. I think so many people are going to benefit from this. And fight on. Our son just graduated from Marshall School of Business here. If you need an investment banker to bring sons.
Any other questions?
We'll speak afterwards.
By the way, I'm like an angel compared to her.
Yeah, wait,
Wow.
I'm salty.
Come on.
Hi everyone, I actually have a question for Michael. When you met Mike, did you ask him about his jersey numbers? Why was he number 49?
What a brilliant question, and I'm an adult and I didn't ask that. I wish I had. No.
I know the answer. Mike-
Okay, he knows.
Well,
Great.
because I think Mike Flynt told me 2 nights ago, someone had number 30, and he had offered it, but Mike felt like he didn't want to take it, so he got number 49.
No, wait a minute, I knew that. But that's why we had the jerseys that were all number
Oh,
30.
and why that scene at the end?
And he had 49 in the
Yeah,
last
30
season.
was, 30 was his number back
Yeah,
in
that's
68,
why it's a different
69,
number.
70.
I don't think we made
and
that
his
clear
current
in the
number
movie.
was 49.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
it-
why they had
That's
it.
And that says something beautiful, because in a world where we see some people so self-aggrandized, why should let him?
No, you're fine, yeah.
When it, so, so self-aggrandizing, and people want compliments in public every day, and have people bow down to him. Mike's a real man. Mike said, "Oh, that's your number. I don't need that number. I'm gonna take a different one. I'll take whatever you give me." Okay, and Mike is very much a real man, and it defines that to me.
And his number really was 49, because you could see at the end credits, but my brother, a bunch of people asked, why wasn't he 59, number 59? He's given 40,
Good question.
but it's a good question.
Good question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question here.
All right.
It's very nice to meet you all, and I have a question for Michael, because I'm a dramatic arts student. Right, I'll just project.
Project.
I'm a
Hit the back of the
dramatic
house.
arts student, and I want to do acting, and I want to act in movies like this one that carry a message and reach people. So I was wondering, like, if you could go back from the actor's point of view, what you would say to your younger self, and what advice you would give.
Oh, wow, you got 3 hours? It's a great question. But the short of it is, I said earlier, it's not rejection, it's selection. Persevere, believe in yourself. The work. That's what the cream rises, that's what's gonna serve you. All the other, this is just what I come from. I know some people are really successful taking other routes, and
And every actor has crossover, but no two actors has the same exact route. Or no two directors, no two people. So your journey is yours, right? One thing I know is, as an actor, you need to collaborate. You need to nurture your relationships with filmmakers, the people who are gonna give you jobs, and collaborate with them. Now, you guys live in a time where I couldn't make a film in college. You couldn't get 35 millimeter film stock and the cameras and everything, so it was out of our reach just financially, we couldn't do it. But you have an iPhone, and this has a cinema. This is insane cinema mode. It's incredible. You can make a short film that could be a calling card right now. You can go sit with a bunch of writer friends or actor friends. You know how to tell a story. If you're excited about something, put your money where your mouth is. Do it.
Right.
Just make like a Nike ad and just do it. It's true. And if you start small, it's a learning curve. Every single thing that you do, everything you put in the can, every collaboration, you're gonna learn something and take something from it. Even if it stinks, you're gonna go like, oh man, this and that would have been better if I and the next thing and the next thing. Tom Brady had the greatest thing I've ever heard. They asked him, listen, Nate, no, they asked him, what's your favorite championship? And he went, the next one. And that's without missing a beat, he said the next one. And I believe in that. I don't sit back and think about, yeah, it's nice to talk about the work you've done in the past. My father was a very wise man, a Greek philosopher, because it's DNA, we can't help it. So he would say, every minute is a new minute, and that's an innately hopeful phrase, it's the promise of something new in front of you. That whatever shit's happened behind you, you can go forward and do something else. Your life should be broken up into periods of experience. I know this is all very ethereal. I hope you are getting what I mean by all this, but it's true. It's also practical. It's very practical. Spend 90% of your life experiencing and 10% reflecting. You need to reflect maybe 20%. Maybe it's 80-20. But don't spend too much of your time. You drive yourself crazy, you'll overthink. Do it. Then think about it. Look at what you did. See what you can glean from it, and then move forward.
In fact, if I may just piggyback on that.
Go ahead.
The,
Passionate about this shit.
well, I'm gonna add to your passion.
Go for it.
Because what he just said on a very practical level, for all of you students, I wanna tell you something. I know a lot of you have written screenplays, and you have dreams of selling the screenplay. I'm gonna promise you something. Nobody's gonna read your screenplay. That's a practical thing you have to understand. People don't have time. There's too many of them out there. It's gonna get covered by people younger than you, if it gets covered at all. What you need to do, this is practical advice for you guys, is always be making short films, always be making short films. Enter those short films in festivals. Maybe you'll win an award or so, and then they'll look at the short film, and then maybe they'll read your screenplay.
A short film led to Vic Mackey and The Shield.
Is that right?
Seriously.
Well, you know what a short film also did? It gave me my career. I was trying to make movies. I used to be a film critic. So that, people, and I was KBC in Los Angeles Magazine. And I was despised by so many people. I was a real asshole. And so it was very difficult for me to get anybody to read anything, right? Except out of curiosity. So I made a short film. And that short film won the Deauville Film Festival, the Atlanta Film Festival. It won several festivals. It qualified for the Academy Award. Didn't get in, but it qualified. And that got me my first film. If you guys want to have a career, make short films and put them into festivals. I'm telling you.
Don't wait, make it.
Guys, I wanna add one thing. Some of us are writers, that's it. We come to it from being poets and things like that. So I was a playwright. I had a playwriting fellowship at American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, 75, 76. I didn't go looking for an agent. Somebody saw my play up there, and they said, I want to represent you. Okay, I'm not a technical guy, not the guy, especially then, man. It was expensive to make movies when I was a young college graduate. That's, I joined the Guild in 1980, okay? I graduated college in 71, so it was a long time ago. But what I'm trying to say is that by having theater and working with actors and becoming an actor for a brief period of my life, because you learn by learning how to create a role, that really is what built me. And I did not have an easy path, but I can say that, and also continuing to write and not sending out the stuff that mom and dad like, but sending out the stuff that harsh critics that are still builders, the people that do not want to destroy you, the people that care about you, but they'll tell you what they think, and they know something. They're, your instructors here, or your writer friend who just made it, listening to those people and taking the hard knocks, that's how you build your career.
Make short films.
Also, learn everything about what everybody, you gonna break this
Oh,
up?
we'll do one more question.
Learn everything you can about what everybody does on the set. Don't be so self-important as to think, I'm an actress and I'm here now. You know, from the best boy to the producer and everybody on that set, and value them, because they're breaking ass to make you look good. So really form your relationships with everybody and learn what they do and why they do it. I was a 4-year-old. You know, 4 is the year of why. Your kid says, why? And some parents choose to say, because I said so. Not a good thing. Tell your kid why. Tell them. Teach them. If you don't know, Google it. Find out. And then tell them. So the same thing with being on a set. I was a pain in the ass to every cinematographer. I'd be like, why are you doing that? And you're like, oh, but they love it. They love going like, oh, you're asking about me, okay? And they tell you. And now after 35, 40 years of doing this, I can tell you what everybody does on a set. And I love it. I love what, it's the ultimate team sport. It is. It's 130 to 180 people getting together. It's sort of tantamount to asking 130 cooks to go into a kitchen and cook one chicken. And you know the old adage about, too many cooks, right? They usually spoil the broth. So it takes an amazing amount of sort of restraint and, understanding and collaborative nature to go like, oh, it's my turn to throw a little bit of rosemary in there, and now I'll step out, and know when to not. So do it.
And one more question.
Hi, this is more of a writing and filmmaking question. I think there's a difference between movies about religion and movies with religion. And you did a great job including religion in this and making it feel inviting and not isolating. I was wondering how it was writing that, how it was directing that, even when you edit, to try to make something that was helpful for people and inspired them, but did not make people feel isolated by a specific religion.
We talked a lot about it, because Mike's a man of faith. I mean, how many conversations did we have, and then how many conversations did we have about, making a movie about faith, that's faith affirming without it being overly faith, because it could turn some people off, but this was who Mike was, and I think the Bible had a lot to do with it, and that really happened. He really did stumble on a Bible in the garage and realized that his dad had found faith later. It was really important to Mike, and that redemptive aspect, but we didn't want it to overwhelm the screen.
Yeah, I mean, Mike basically was a man of faith, and I'm writing about a man of faith, and I'm an agnostic. And my mother was one of the strongest and best people I ever knew, and she was a woman of deep faith. So I'm not into religion that much, but I've never been anti-faith. Why would I? Why would I want to take things away from people and give them strength? So I essentially just rode that pony. I went right in there. I got to know Mike and his buddies, and everybody down there is Jesus and football, you know what I'm saying? So I just rode that. And I felt true to myself doing it. I didn't want too much of it either, though. I also
We don't want to preach and proselytize.
why preach to the converted?
Yeah, I don't think people that have a lot of faith want to, you just
You
have
don't
to
want
have
to
it
beat people in the
balanced.
head with it. You just want to represent it as part of the story. It's inherently part of the story. You're not going to do a movie about John the Baptist and leave out the fact that he's a believer. But there's a way to tell the story without batting you in the head and telling you what to think. I was very proud of the way we handled it.
Good job, Rod. I've done a movie called American Underdog about Kurt Warner. You guys know who Kurt Warner is, right? Very man of faith. Same thing. Had the same exact conversations and pulled back a lot from when I came in on the script, and you just find that balance. So yeah, that's it.
So thank you all so much for coming. I just want to
Thank you,
thank you
guys.
guys who've been on the road talking and promoting the film. So yeah, please tell all your friends. And they say the line was there's nothing better than being on a team, and you guys are an awesome team, and we're so grateful that we had time with you tonight.
Thank you all.
Thank you.